Lawyers for Michael T. Flynn, President Trump's former national security advisor, are said to have terminated an information-sharing agreement with the president's legal team. Carlos BarriaReuters Washington. Lawyers for Michael T. Flynn, President Trump's former national security advisor, notified the president's legal team in recent days that they could no longer discuss the special counsel's investigation, according to 4 people involved in the case, an indication that Mr. Flynn is cooperating with prosecutors and negotiating such a deal. Mr. Flynn's lawyers had been sharing information with Mr. Trump's lawyers about the investigation by the special counsel, Robert S. Mueller III, who is examining whether anyone around Mr. Trump was involved in Russian efforts to undermine Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. That agreement has been terminated, the 4 people said. Defense lawyers frequently share information during investigations, but they must stop when doing so would pose a conflict of interest. It is unethical for lawyers to work together when one client is cooperating with prosecutors and another is still under investigation. The notification alone does not prove that Mr. Flynn is cooperating with Mr. Mueller. Some lawyers withdraw from information-sharing arrangements as soon as they begin negotiating with prosecutors, and such negotiations sometimes fall apart. Still, the notification led Mr. Trump's lawyers to believe that Mr. Flynn, who, along with his son, is seen as having significant criminal exposure, has, at the least, begun discussions with Mr. Mueller about cooperating. Lawyers for Mr. Flynn and Mr. Trump declined to comment. The 4 people briefed on the matter spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the matter publicly. A deal with Mr. Flynn would give Mr. Mueller a behind-the-scenes look at the Trump campaign and the early tumultuous weeks of the administration. Mr. Flynn was an early and important advisor to Mr. Trump, an architect of Mr. Trump's populist America First platform and an advocate of closer ties with Russia. His ties to Russia predated the campaign. He sat with President Vladimir V. Putin at a 2015 event in Moscow, and he was a point person on the transition team for dealing with Russia. Among the interactions that Mr. Mueller is investigating is a private meeting that Mr. Flynn had with the Russian ambassador and Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, during the presidential transition. In the past year, it has been revealed that the Trump campaign repeatedly tried to meet with Russian officials who were promising compromising information on Mrs. Clinton. Mr. Flynn is regarded as loyal to Mr. Trump, but he has in recent weeks expressed serious concerns to friends that prosecutors will bring charges against his son, Michael Flynn Jr., who served as his father's chief of staff and was a part of several financial deals involving the elder Mr. Flynn that Mr. Mueller is scrutinizing. The White House has said that neither Mr. Flynn nor other former aides has incriminating information to provide about Mr. Trump. He likes General Flynn personally, but understands that they have their own path with a special counsel, a White House lawyer, Ty Cobb, said in an interview last month with the New York Times. "I think he would be sad for them, as a friend and a former colleague, if the process results in punishment or indictments. But to the extent that that happens, that's beyond his control." Mark Mazzetti, Matthew Rosenberg and Adam Goldman contributed reporting.